There we go. Okay. I was going to say, I'm like side by side on my screen. So, okay. So welcome to our very first Praxis passing success story for the 5164. And my first guest today is Joanna. So this is our very first casual style interview of just tips and tricks from Joanna for passing the Praxis and any, helpful information as we go along. So welcome, Joanna. Thank you so much for doing this. I know it's very
fun. Robin. Thanks for inviting me and for all your resources and help.
Yes, thank you. Joanna did group tutoring with me, and this is our style for group tutoring. We meet on a Google Meet and we record it, and I go through problems, and we have an informal style. Think of it as like your favorite class with your favorite teacher, just not stressed out or being in a stressful situation. So, all right, I'll go ahead and let you talk if you want to just share any problems, like the actual problems you encountered, any tips that you've had that you thought were helpful when you were taking your test. So I'll let you go ahead and chat with us.
All right. Well, thank you. So on the practice tests, they have a lot of multiple choice. And what I realized was on the real test, it was a lot more fill in the blanks.
Ooh,
and I was like, oh my gosh, well, I was not prepared for this, because sometimes when you practice for a test, you can like eliminate. When it's fill in the blank, it's like, oh, I can't really do that. So that was that. I did appreciate that they did like bold for like, which one is not the one that would be most useful, or what is the most, like the least stressful, and they like underlined it and bolded it. They must have gotten complaints.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Twice though.
Right. Okay.
Definitely no inequalities. There were some problems about complete the square and finding the student error. Proportions. Know those. Know how to find the unknown with proportions.
Was that the pigs and chicken question? That's the famous pigs to chickens, chickens to cows, or?
And also there were some on geometry that were like proportions.
Oh, okay. Like similar triangles and using the proportions to set those up. Okay.
At least on my form, I was worried that they were going to have like the special properties of equilateral or like right angle triangles. And I did not get a question like that. I was like memorizing it. I was like, oh my gosh. But honestly, to keep up with the pace, definitely know your formulas, at least the basic ones by heart, so you're not like going back and forth. Like know like the area and circumference of a circle, no distance, no if you know the quadratic formula, great. But if you don't, you can look at the formula sheet, but know your like base times height divided by 2. Knowing those formulas helps.
Like the more common ones, so you're just not going back and forth to the formula sheet and like wasting time. Okay. That's a good tip.
But what I found when I was practicing with the like ETS practice test, I got so fixated on those problems sometimes that it was like, I was like, oh, there's going to be one of these on the test. And then there were like none of them on the test. So there's that. Look out for that. Like, honestly, even if you don't encounter a question on the test, that's like one that you practice. It's still good to practice and build that number sense and, get familiar just in case you get that problem on the test.
Joanna, I have a lot of students that ask me like if my resources are exactly like the practice test itself. And what I like to say to them, and you can, I like to say like you just said how the ETS practice test was like not at like it was similar, but they're not the exact type of questions. So you need to study like a wide variety of practice tests and resources and not just kind of stick to one resource. Would you say
Yeah,
that that's accurate? Like
that's a good way of putting it. Like,
okay.
definitely, I bought all your questions. Like every time you got like a practice test or like a set of questions, I got yours. I did some on Khan Academy for like
Mhm.
the special properties of right angle triangles, doing a lot of problems. Like even if like I would kind of rotate it around, so I'd do yours, like one of your tests, the other test, and the other test, and like practice problems, and like then the ETS practice test, and like rotate them around on like a 5-day schedule. So I was constantly just doing math for like 3 hours a day. And if
Yeah.
you are a teacher currently, it definitely helps to do it in the summer
Yes.
for even just like I did 3 hours a day, but that's because I really had to pass. But if you're working like 1 hour, I would start with 1 hour a day to like after school to just review basics and things like that. Oh,
Yeah.
one other thing, transformations, I had to refresh my memory on those.
How were the transformation problems that we did in group tutoring? Were they similar to the ones on the test with the reflection and the rotation and then
Yeah, those
knowing?
were definitely the most similar problems
Okay.
on the test. Inequalities also were on the test. Knowing how to manipulate a formula without like actually even solving it, that was one thing on the test. Like you didn't have to solve it, you just had to like put it in a certain format. And they would also give you like a problem where it was like, oh, how would you like solve for like X or Y? And like you'd have to like manipulate it, and they'd give you like boxes. It would be like select all the appropriate formulas or equations you could do with these variables. And it was like, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So knowing your algebra, it was very heavy on algebra, I found.
Algebra. How about functions with domain and range? Like we practiced with the negative infinity and the positive infinity. Were there questions that asked domain and range with those as answer choices or not so much?
There
For
were a couple.
okay.
Definitely know your parentheses versus whatever the
The bracket.
square bracket.
Mhm.
Definitely know that. Definitely know the order in which to put, because sometimes people put like for the negative, they don't put the negative first, like the negative infinity first. They put like the other one.
Right.
Definitely know the order. It definitely helps. Like even if they give you the domain and range, they'll still be like, they'll be like, what graph has this like domain and range? And you still need to know like
Yeah.
the
Like
basics
to
of it.
match. Okay. To like match the graph with the domain and the range. Okay.
Yeah. It was very just doing like lots of problems every single day. That's like the key. So you don't forget things.
Consistency for sure. How about taking the test? Did you answer every question and then flag the ones you wanted to come back to if you had time to look at them? Or how did you approach your test? Did you jump around? Did you answer them
I
all at the same time or in order and just got them all finished? Or how did you approach your exam?
So I was a good question. I was very worried about time because I've read that people ran out of time, or
Mhm.
like there were some times on the ETS practice test the first time I took it that, and even your test, that I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even know like how am I supposed to approach this? And I'd take like 10 minutes on it.
Mhm.
And since I practiced a lot, I just kind of went through in order and flagged, because I like some of the select choice, like multiple choice, I was like, okay, well maybe I'll get partial credit if I pick 2 of the 3 that are correct.
Mhm.
Um, and I probably flagged like a quarter of the questions. I did go back to some, but it depends on like the test taker you are. For me, at least, I usually go with my gut. And if
Yes.
I go back and
Don't
like
second
think
guess
about it
yourself.
too much, I just might like I'll get confused and probably choose the wrong answer.
Mm-hmm.
So I honestly didn't. I flagged things, but I didn't go back and like look at them because at the point, even though I had like 15 minutes remaining, I was just like, I'm so tired.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
And then I was
Mhm.
like, if I go back, I'll probably change my answer and it will be the wrong one.
Yes, that's a good point. So you got them all finished and you didn't leave any of them blank. So that's
Yeah,
very
no.
helpful because Praxis gives you points for correct answers. They don't penalize you for incorrect answers. So that's super helpful tip to make sure that you're answering every single one. How about the calculator, the lovely TI-84
Well,
online? How'd that work out for you?
I know there was I know we went over in tutoring, there were like lots of things you could do with the calculator.
Mm-hmm.
I did prep about the calculator before taking the test. So definitely practice with the online calculator before you take the test. Even if you're taking a paper test, like I'm a paper person, so I printed out all your tests. I went to Staples and printed out all your practice problems, and I was like, I need this on paper because I can't look at a screen. But I did use the graphing calculator on the computer, and it definitely helps to practice because it'll slow you down the first time around. Because I was used to just doing it on my phone calculator, and it's so much quicker. But the graphing calculator online, definitely practice it. I will say sometimes if you bring up the graphing calculator on the test, it's a little awkward because like sometimes you have to shift it around so that you can see the whole
problem.
That was kind of annoying that it blocked like a couple words on the problem, but I tried to avoid using it as much as possible. Like I was like, I'm gonna reserve this for functions.
That's a good idea.
And like graphing, like, or finding the roots. Like I was like, I'm gonna reserve this. Sometimes I would put like, you know, if it was like subtracting a negative integer from a positive integer, sometimes like if I do that, like based on the practice questions I was doing, I found that sometimes I would rush through it and make a silly error. So yeah, sometimes I just plug in silly things like that just to like triple check. But I didn't really, based on tutoring, I like learned so many things that you could do with the calculator. But there was a question about a scatter plot. And originally when I answered your practice question, I kind of guesstimated the slope. And I did that because I was like, I don't have time. I was like watching
go back and
I could go and put in all the points and stuff in the calculator, the scatter plot, but I was like, no, I don't have time. And it would probably stress me out.
Yeah. And that would be, like I said, to flag that one. And if you did have time, you could go back in the calculator. And I think I had mentioned that when we were practicing our scatter plot problems, like kind of guesstimate what you can. And then hopefully the answer choices will lend itself to eliminating some of them. But now, did you have any questions that were, oh goodness, the fraction ones? Like, did you have a lot of fraction questions?
There were some where, well, there was the one, like, I guess this isn't really fractions, it's division, but there was like the typical one that was on the practice tests where it was like, which one would be a division?
Okay.
Like, oh, you have a scarf takes an eighth of a yard of like cloth. How many would you need for like 6 scarves? And they would have like, that was one of like, I had to redo and look like review fraction division for myself. And then also they had one, they want you to know like what the like how well, this was easy with a calculator, but and you could cheat with it. Like in terms of plugging in, like finding the fraction and putting it into a decimal. But There was one that was like order the fractions from least to greatest. And just to triple check, I just plugged in the fractions in my calculator to like make sure they were in the proper. I kind of like considered that cheating because I was like, oh, I should know this because like the denominator and the numerator, you should know like which one's bigger and which one makes the fraction smaller. But just to triple check, I put in the calculator and turned it into a decimal.
Oh, I would do that too. I would turn it into a decimal and then just look at it from least to greatest that way.
Yeah, I know some people can probably just look at it and be like, oh yeah, that one's the smallest and this one's the greatest. And yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I'm the same way. I'd rather put it as a decimal and then just double check myself instead of trying to make sure I'm making all equivalent fractions. How about any standard deviation problems?
Not for me.
Not for you. Okay. How about, what was the other one that I usually get asked about? Standard deviation and, oh, were there geometric sequences on there?
I believe there was.
Okay.
Which kind of caught me off guard a little bit.
Did it just ask you for like what term would be like the 7th or 8th term or whatever, or did it have you actually use a formula?
They had me use the formula, but it was more like in terms of like algebra.
Oh, okay.
Like you didn't really have to solve for the answer. It was more like, yeah, I don't know the exact wording, but it was more like you didn't really have to solve for anything. It was like just make sure you know how to use the formula.
Okay.
But I did memorize that formula just in case, like.
Because the arithmetic sequence formula is on the formula sheet, but the geometric one is not. And they're different. The geometric one is not difficult to kind of remember, but you have to look at it beforehand.
Yeah. It's similar.
Yeah.
But different things.
Right.
Variables.
Right. Different variables. And just you still need your, your common ratio between the terms, but just it's different than the arithmetic one. Any other type of problems that you want to share with anyone that you thought were like, oh, I definitely did not expect this, or just from you being so prepared with cycling through your resources and knowing that there were, your problems on the different categories that you felt were, anything that surprised you where you were like, I have no idea, or I had no clue this was going to be on here, or any type of problems like that you would like to share with our viewers, our friends?
Well, honestly, based on the problems, like the practice problems and the content, I was kind of like, oh, like I did practice like completing the square and the quadratic formula. But the one where you had to, the question where it was like, find the error when this person is completing the square. A lot of the practice problems were like mostly like PEMDAS related, where this one was completing the square. And I was like, thank gosh, I practiced this. I did not expect them to get like this fancy, but they did. So they can ask you anything.
Yes. And completing the square, there is a algebraic tile question on the ETS practice test, but it's helpful to understand when you pick your correct answer for that. And I believe I have one on my practice tests as well. You do need to remember how completing the square works. So that's really helpful to remember that as well.
Oh yeah, you're right. You do have, there are like a couple questions about, those ones are very helpful to study.
Yeah.
Because I was like, why?
Yeah. Like, why? We talked about this, right? Why do I need to?
And since I've never taught like completing the square in a classroom, I've just been like taught it. Like when I learned how to complete the square, we did not use algebra tiles.
Right.
So I was like looking for a video like, oh, how do you complete the square with like tiles? I've never heard of that method.
You literally like complete the square. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, it's a little bit more a little bit more manipulative than you would think. My students don't do great with algebra tiles, so I
Oh,
use
really?
algebra tiles for like adding and subtracting integers, and then I introduce them with equations, and then they're fine until you get to like the multi-step equations, and then they're just like shuffling their algebra tiles around. So there are great algebra tile for your own once you are certified in your classroom. Rise Over Run, I believe, has an algebra tile workshop,
Oh,
I think,
yeah.
if you're
All of
interested
them.
in that. But it does ask you on the Praxis about what manipulative would be the best for, I forget what you said, what manipulative would be the
Oh, it was
best for
for,
integers or combining like terms.
yeah, it was for combining like terms.
Okay. And I'd say algebra tiles. They
And
help.
when I was a kid, we did not use manipulatives.
Yeah. Your
And
teacher
I
just told you
taught
how to
fifth
do it
grade
and you did it.
previously,
Yeah.
so we didn't really do a lot of like algebra yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of like, this seems like super obvious, but maybe it's a trick question.
Yeah. Well, anything else you want to add to your tips and tricks for being successful on the Praxis 5164?
Practice a lot. Study.com and Khan Academy are very good for like background information.
Mhm.
They're really good videos that relate it to real life. But I found just using study.com didn't really give like enough problems. Same with
That were
240
relatable.
tutoring. I tried 240 tutoring, and I think like for them that was like worse than study.com because they kind of like rushed through. Like when they were talking about compound inequalities, I was like, whoa, you're going too fast with this. They just kind of like assumed. So if you are like a math major or like already taught middle school or high school, study.com is a good like refresher. But if you're like learning everything from scratch, kind of like I am and reviewing, study.com is better. And then supplementing with your problems and like the ETS practice test that like helped me with like more problems. Also shout out to organic chemistry tutor.
Yes, organic
He
chemistry
also
tutor.
gives a lot of practice problems. Like when I was doing the ones, what are the ones? Oh, dimensional analysis.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them didn't really give like a why, or like they were like, this is how you do it, and then that was period. Like they didn't give you a problem, but he gave like 5, like, okay, pause the video and do it, and then we'll do it together. And I was like, thank you. This is what I
Yes.
needed.
You're like,
Because
hit
for
the
a
pause
while I was
button.
trying to do it in my head. I was like, I've never done dimensional analysis, like
Mm-hmm.
not to this point, because I was not a chemistry person
Right.
in high school. So yeah, definitely those are good resources. All 3 of them are good for like building background knowledge, but do problems like your problems are very aligned towards the test. And then like same with Kathleen Jasper,
Yes.
EPS, like
I
because
like
for
to
a
call that the
while,
trifecta. It's like Beth
yeah,
and Jasper, the practice resources that I have created because they're practice problems that I've like used with my students.
yeah,
And like trying to tweak them and make them as applicable to the test as possible. And then the ETS practice test. I think a lot of people overlook that ETS practice test, but it does come free. Don't pay for it. Free when you register for your test. And you took your test at home, correct, Joanna? Do you want to give
yeah.
any tips on taking your test at home or anything you need to know? And we also did chat about this before I hit record, is that no one can take the test for you but yourself. So please, if anyone says like, message me on this number and I can remotely take that, you can't do that. I don't recommend you contacting those individuals. Sorry. I
Yeah.
just,
You need your
can you
ID.
kind of walk through that process, Joanna, if someone's unfamiliar with test taking at home, like what you need, like if you're at home, like your room set up, your your identification? Like, how does that all work? Like, can you just
Good
walk us through that?
question. So ETS definitely got more strict. I took the Praxis core during like 2020, during the pandemic, and it was very lax. I could sit in an open room like this and have a doorway behind me, and they were really chill with it because ETS was like, oh, this is the only way people can take their tests. But now they're like, well, centers are open now, so you have no excuse. So I have like a spare office room. They want you to be at a desk. They are like on their website, they're like, don't be at a park bench or in a public place. But honestly, the best place is to like find a room. I took all like the auxiliary furniture out of that room. I put chart paper over the walls to cover like the posters I had in there. I brought in my passport, or if you have any other ID, you need passport or license. You need a power outlet because they will ask you to show them all four corners of the room, the windows and the ceilings. And they will also, so my desk was kind of like towards the closet. So I was kind of like, I could see out my peripheral to the door that was shut. And they were like, no, you have to turn it. So your door has to be like, if you have a door in that room, it has to be closed and they have to see it in the background. So like, for example, that doorway, I'd have to like put like a bedcloth over it. So I had to like move the desk a bit so they could see the doorway behind me. When you're taking it, they like to see, I know at test centers, you put your phone away in a locker. They actually, I found that ETS, the proctors, prefer to have your phone there so that they know like at the beginning, because they'll be like, okay, so take your phone. I've heard different stories, but this is what they made me do on all the practice tests I took. They'll like make you turn reverse camera and like show like your screen. Oh. So that you can, in case like anything is like on, like you have Post-it notes or anything on your screen. So they're like, make sure to like go like this, like show me like your whole camera.
Okay, that's interesting.
Show me your whole computer so that like I know you don't have any like sticky notes or anything like that. And then they also really like to see that you are like, they're like, okay, show me your phone. And then you put it like onto a table. They really like to know that like your phone is not in your possession at all. So you literally have to be like, okay, I'm taking my phone and I'm putting it over at this like desk that's like 10 feet away.
Now, okay, so what about anything running on your computer when you're taking it? And you said laptop is the best because you have to move the laptop around to show the room.
Yeah, laptop is the best.
And how about any programs running in the back? Like, are you allowed to have your email open? Are they able to tell all of that?
They can remotely go in. I did read a horror story about someone who their test got canceled because they had like a program running in the background that they didn't know about. But I have a PC, I have a Windows Surface laptop, which has like a double screen that you can't disable, kind of like the Chromebooks that the kids use at school. So I actually had to, if you have a Windows Surface or a Windows or a Chromebook, you cannot use that for the Praxis test. You need to use a MacBook or like a Dell or something else.
Or like an HP or something like that.
Yeah, as long as it's not like a Windows Surface laptop, which was interesting because I used a Windows Surface like in 2020. And they weren't like very strict about it. But I ended up having to borrow my sister's laptop as like a MacBook. And she is a tech whiz, so she disabled all the cookies, all the firewalls. She made sure like all her browsing history was closed. If you have a MacBook, you know how like sometimes, I don't know if you're familiar with MacBooks, but you can link like your text messages to
Oh, yes.
your computer
Mhm.
and it'll give you like a notification. I had her disable that too. Same with the email notifications. Yeah, just have like everything closed. You need, they'll be like, close your Chrome window because you don't need that. Well, the only thing you'll need is like the ETS Proctor window, and they can kind of tell like if you're going like this, if you're like moving the mouse around, they can definitely tell if you're like trying to get out of the secure browser. One
Wow.
thing I will say, you are allowed one marker.
One marker. Okay.
So make sure it's brand new.
And you have a whiteboard, and you're allowed to use a whiteboard, correct?
Yes, you can use
So
one
like
whiteboard.
I have one up here. This is my little area back here. So like this would be okay to use, like a little
That would
whiteboard.
be, yeah.
And then you would be like one marker. So this would be your
one
how
marker.
do we erase?
You can use a like one of those mini ones, like I'll show you.
Like a mini eraser?
Yeah, like one of those mini, like those little tiny ones that are like the size of this.
Okay. Yep.
I bought some on Amazon. The like smallest pack I could get was like 10. So I'll use them in my classroom.
Yeah,
but
I'll use them
I
in
was
your
kind of
classroom.
wondering about the eraser because I was like, oh, well, like I was like prepared to use my hand to erase things because I was like, okay, well, they'll probably be suspicious that I like wrote something on it. But the proctor was fine, but be prepared because it depends on the proctor.
They do make Expo like eraser toppers. So that's another, like you could probably order those if you wanted to, like if you like had to show them your marker, and like you can get an eraser for the end of this.
I did actually buy some, like, I forget what company makes them, but they have felt on the bottom. They're pretty cheap on Amazon. You can get like 10 for like $5. But I was like, okay, if that's like a backup, I'll like keep that in mind. My guy the proctor was pretty relaxed about, I had a double-sided whiteboard, and he was fine with it. It really depends on the proctor. And be prepared to wait unless you take it at like maybe 6 a.m. But I feel like the demand for the ETS online has increased. Like when I was first taking it in 2020, it was like a maybe 5 or 10 minute wait. I was just like nervously waiting there, like being like, oh, is there a proctor? Like, but they always run behind schedule. So I ended up waiting like 20 minutes.
Okay.
Which I know is like, which is like the worst fear if you're like, oh my God, I'm so nervous already. And now I'm nervous that like my proctor's gonna like not show up.
Right.
But be patient. They will probably show up. If you have like, if you X out, you can kind of like, I always would, if I have my phone, I actually put in ETS's like help number just in case.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Because I read that like she lost contact with her proctor, so she called the ETS helpline to be like, can I get reconnected? So I put that in my phone, bookmarked it in case.
That's a good idea.
Obviously, if you go to a test center, you will avoid all these things, but sometimes test centers are far away and they don't let you use the whiteboard, or they'll let you. There was something about like you can't erase stuff on your whiteboard at the test center.
I think at the test center you are given pencil and 2 pieces of paper, I think. And then you have to go and ask for more paper.
Yeah.
So, and you're not allowed to erase what you have on your paper.
Yeah.
Like you have to,
like that.
Yes. It's strange. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there was someone in the group, the middle school math group that you created, that was like, yeah, they gave me a whiteboard, but it was like a laminated sheet and it was green. And I was like, oh my gosh, that would throw me off so much.
Yeah.
So that was like the I would have gone to a test center, but like the primary reason, honestly, for taking it home was because I practiced using a whiteboard. So if you are going to take it at a test center, practice with paper and pencil, because I did not do that. And that is why I took it at home.
Yeah,
But
you're allowed to bring nothing into the test center but yourself.
yeah, same with at home. You can have your passport. You can have one marker,
Yeah,
one
your ID.
whiteboard. You will not, no water at all, no water bottles. You will, like, I know on the test center, you can take a bathroom break if you want, but the time still keeps going. My proctor was like, you cannot leave for the bathroom during this test. And I was like, okay, well, so it depends on the proctor at home. I've heard some are like, you can go if you like really have to, but the timer won't stop. But my proctor was like, you cannot leave to go to the bathroom. And I was like, okay, good thing I did not drink a lot of water today.
Yeah, good thing. And make sure you go to the bathroom before you take your test.
Oh, I went like 5 times.
Yeah,
I was like,
especially because you're nervous as well.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And then like when you take it at home, they'll be like, well, I wore a sweater because I was like, if I wear a hoodie, it might be like suspicious. But they'll be like, make sure you like show your wrists to make sure that you don't have like an Apple Watch on or something.
Okay.
And they're like, make sure like they'll like be like, look, like show your ears to make sure you don't have like earbuds or anything in there. I know at the test center when I took the GMAT, they made me take my earrings out. They did not make me take my earrings out for ETS, but be prepared if you're wearing like big dangly ones, they might.
They might, just because it might be distracting. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I did hear from previous people that if you are like used to reading out the problem like out loud to yourself, which sometimes helped me, and I practiced like not like mouthing the words, but they were like, oh, they canceled my test because I was reading the question and reading it like kind of out loud.
Yeah, so they thought they were like telling someone what the question was.
So I definitely tried not to be like,
yeah,
even moving my lips like quietly. I was kind of just like, okay, you can't like move your lips at all. Make sure you're just reading it in your head, which is kind of hard for me to do.
Yeah.
Especially when you're alone in an environment. But there was like I feel like they've gotten more strict. So if you have a quiet place, you can take it. It was dead quiet in my house. But if you have a dog or something, anything, like if it's loud, they might be like, oh, what's that? But be prepared if you're taking it online to like set aside. I know the test is 3 hours. Set aside like 4.
4. Yeah.
Because like the proctor thing usually takes like, depending on when the proctor shows up, it'll take like 30 minutes to 40 minutes to do all the checks. And definitely make sure your device meets the system requirements. On the ETS site, you can like do the thing where it's like test your device and make sure your internet is stable.
Yes.
Make sure you have a power cord that works. Make sure you are wearing comfortable clothes.
Yeah, those are great tips. I love everything that you've said. Do you have anything you want to share last minute that you think would be helpful? You shared a lot of great information. Thank you so much. I mean, just from taking the test at home, what type of questions there are.
I'm not sure about the mouse use. I didn't use a mouse.
Okay.
So I don't really know. I use the trackpad, but I don't know what their policy is on like wireless. I know someone, I think, posted that you could use one, like as long as it's not a wireless mouse, you can use one.
Okay.
Because I think they get like kind of suspicious with like wireless devices. That's what I've heard.
Okay.
But
I did not know that. Thank you.
the time you think it's going to be long, 3 hours, but it actually like goes by really quickly. And you're like, oh my gosh, I've done nothing all day, and now I'm mentally exhausted.
Yes. And now you need a nap.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And definitely, even if you are like your raw score or whatever, this is like the nightmare of my dreams, especially like, and like you've probably seen this on TikTok and things like that. Even like if your raw score is like even like a little bit close, press send scores. Because I have nightmares of being like, oh, did I press send or did I cancel them? Because like they're so close together. So I'm like,
yes.
send them or did I cancel them?
Yes. Don't black out at that moment.
Don't pay attention to the beginning screen. And if it's like, if your score is not good, do not worry. There's multiple sets of this test. For some reason, when I took the test, I'm like, oh, I think I got lucky because it wasn't as bad as like some of the other problems that I've heard are on that test.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yes, there's different forms and there's multitude of questions that they can choose from and tons of combinations of tests. But it does seem like there are a few different forms floating around. So just make sure you just send those scores and
send them away. Don't
send
even
them
if
away. Don't cancel them.
I doubt the DOE is like, if you send one that's like not like your raw scores to like 155, I doubt they're like, oh, so and so didn't pass her test.
Right.
That's what I was like, I'm just going to send them anyway.
Yes, that's a good tip. Very good.
Because you never know what your actual score will be.
Right.
It might go up a couple points.
Yes, it could, because you don't get raw points for your task of teaching questions until you get your actual score report back. And how long did they say for your score report to be in your portal?
I think they said like 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay. Yeah, that's usually common, is 3 to 4 weeks.
But I don't know, like, I'm sure, I guess it depends on the year. But this test is offered continuously. So they're like, I know some tests that are offered only like 3 times a year are like, oh, we have 3 months. But the one good thing about the math test is that it's like graded right away. So you can kind of see like how you did. Whereas like I've taken like history and like English tests and they're like, okay, we'll send you results in 4 weeks. And I'm like, should I keep studying or should
I know, that's so frustrating. It's like,
what should I do?
Not fast. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Joanna. I'm going to you can stay on and I'm going to stop recording because we have a lot of good information here. Thank you so much. And
thank you, Robin. And thank you for all your resources, and it's worth the money. It's worth the money.
Thank you so much. And Joanna did a group tutoring sessions. I run 4 1-hour sessions. And since we did ours in the summer, we were able to do them Monday through Thursday. I'm in Eastern side of the United States. So I'm Eastern Standard Time. I'm in Pennsylvania. Joanna was in New Hampshire. So it was able to line up really well with our schedules. But I offer evening sessions when I'm back in school because I teach full time as well. And so if you want more information, you can look at the description below, and I will see everyone later.